Alice Margaret Scott, blonde, 5 feet 3 inches, age 26.
Go on.
No.
Go on, Kitty. You're enjoying it.
Age 26, 17 times.
Go on to the next.
This is horrible.
By no means. We're having fun, you and I.
Caroline Marshall, dark, 5 feet 2 inches, age 14. 3 times unsatisfactory. No, I won't. Just take your book.
Get dressed. You have 15 minutes to get out of the house.
What? What do you mean?
Goodbye, Miss Winter.
Just like that? After all this time? Or what am I going to do? Where can I go?
I suggest you think of somewhere. If you're still here when I return, I'll kill you.
The Illustrious Client by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, dramatised for radio by Bert Coules, with Clive Merrison as Sherlock Holmes and Michael Williams as Dr. John Watson, and featuring Michael Feast as Baron Gruner, Ruth Gemmell as Violet de Merville, and Deborah Berlin as Kitty Winter. The Illustrious Client.
Give me the names.
Mr. Johnson.
The names, Mr. Corbett.
Harry Piercy. Vic Dobbs.
And?
I can't. Georgie Meadows.
Georgie Meadows. Well, you tell Georgie Meadows from me. When I spend 3 weeks setting up a job, I don't appreciate some festering amateur blundering in on it.
I'll tell him.
And while you're at it, you can tell him I'll be round for a cut. A good cut. Remember all that, can you?
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Make sure you do. Now, get out of my sight. Georgie Meadows. Yeah. How long you been hiding there? Well?
Not long.
How much you hear?
Nothing, honest.
Come out where I can see you. Come on, into the light. Come here. Good God.
Don't hurt me.
Why not?
I'll be nice to you. Please don't hurt me. Please.
God save His Majesty the King.
That's not bad.
Oh, come on. It's excellent.
It's highly extravagant. Shouldn't you be economizing?
Holmes, it is something of a special occasion.
Yes, I suppose so.
It is. I was beginning to think I wouldn't live to see a coronation. Ah, you must admit, it did seem as if she was going to last forever.
Nothing lasts forever, Watson.
Holmes, it's over a month since I moved out. I thought you'd got used to the idea by now.
I wasn't referring to your change of address, Doctor.
Nor was I. Holmes, I'm not you. I need a certain amount of normality in my life. Steadiness, order, a home.
A wife?
Yes, a wife. Perhaps a family. Do you really find that so hard to understand?
No. No, actually, I don't.
Well, if it isn't that that's brought this on, why are you in such a black mood?
I was thinking about change. It's a changing age, Watson. I don't like it.
Yes, I know what you mean. But you won't stop it by brooding about it.
Or in any other way.
True enough. So, let's have another glass of this excellent brandy. And drink to the future.
Yes, to your happiness.
Thank you. And yours.
As you like.
It really is very good.
Well, you always did have the best of taste.
I like to think so. Holmes, you will be coming to the wedding, won't you? It means a lot to me. To both of us.
Have no fears, Watson. I shall be there next month with my confetti in my hand, wishing you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tell me, what does the future Mrs. Watson think of your colourful past?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, come on, Watson. You can hardly pretend that you're an average example of the homely family doctor, new practice or no new practice.
No, I suppose not.
So?
Well,
She does know about your various extracurricular activities, I hope.
of course she does. I do have a certain modest fame of my own, you know.
John Watson, the celebrated author and specialist in criminal fiction. Yes. Has she read the stories?
Naturally.
And?
Holmes, she's not as adventurous as my poor Mary was. Jean's more the settled type.
Oh, indeed.
You'll have to accept that I'll have rather a lot on my plate at first. The new home, getting the practice established.
Of course.
I'm glad you understand.
Oh, yes. Will you keep up the writing?
Of course. Even if you won't let me publish anything.
I've told you, when I retire.
Yes, I can just see it. Jean wheeling me round to the Strand in my bath chair, yellowing manuscripts in my gnarled old hands.
Not necessarily.
Holmes?
What do you make of this? It came by the first post.
You know, that would make a good title for one of your monographs.
What would?
On the art of changing the subject.
The letter, Watson.
What is it?
It may be some fussy, self-important fool. It may be a matter of life and death.
Really?
Here, judge for yourself.
Oh, Sir James Damery.
You know the man.
Only by reputation.
An arranger of delicate matters in society. Matters which must be kept out of the papers.
The Hammerford will case.
Very good, Watson.
A man of the world with a natural turn for diplomacy. Of the very greatest importance. Will you see him?
He's calling around at 4:30. Let's hope he does have some real need for our help.
Our help?
Well, assuming you don't have to rush off back to Queen Anne Street.
Oh, certainly not.
And what happened to the need for normality?
Oh, really, Holmes? Not all the time.
Oh, my dear Adelbert, this is wonderful. What a perfect day. This beautiful setting, this lovely weather, and you. I am so happy.
Of course you are, my dear. How could I possibly allow you to be anything else?
Dr. Watson, how do you do?
Sir James, if you would prefer me to leave.
By no means. Your collaboration may be very necessary.
Indeed.
Most certainly. Gentlemen, we're dealing with a man of great violence.
Take a seat, Sir James. Give us the facts.
Mr. Holmes, I'm speaking of an individual who will stick at nothing. I should say there's no more dangerous man in Europe.
That's been said of a good few of our opponents.
If your man is more dangerous than the late Professor Moriarty, then he'll certainly be worth meeting. His name?
Have you ever heard of Baron Gruner?
The Austrian murderer.
There's no getting past you, Mr. Holmes. Wonderful. So, you've already sized him up as a murderer.
I couldn't be more certain that he killed his wife if I'd watched him do it. We discussed it at the time, Watson.
Yes, I remember. The accident in the Splugen Pass. It never rang true.
And when you add the sudden death of the only witness and the enormous fortune that passed to the grieving widower, well, who could have any doubts?
Oh, indeed. If it hadn't been for the lack of any real proof...
I assure you that if I'd been there, ample proof would have been found.
I don't doubt it for a moment.
Is it this case that's come up again, Sir James?
No, Doctor. It's something more serious than that.
Sometimes I still can't believe it's going to happen.
Oh, it is most certainly going to happen. You must believe it.
Do you know you have the most amazing eyes? Just 4 more weeks. And then I shall be the Baroness Gruner. Baron and Baroness Gruner. Perfect. I want to spend those weeks learning all about you. Every single thing.
My dearest, I shall take the greatest pleasure in telling you.
It's a terrible thing, gentlemen, to see a dreadful event preparing itself before your eyes, and yet be utterly unable to prevent it. I'm sure that you sympathize with the client I represent.
The client? I didn't understand that you were merely an intermediary. Well, who is the principal?
Mr. Holmes, You must not press that question.
Indeed.
I must be able to assure him that his name will not be dragged into the matter.
Sir James, forgive me, but how can we be sure of his motives?
You have my word that they're entirely honourable.
Then why does he insist on secrecy?
Mr. Holmes, your fee will be assured, and you will be given a completely free hand. Surely the actual name of your client is immaterial.
No, I'm sorry. I'm accustomed to have mystery at one end of my cases, but to have it at both ends is too confusing. Good day, Sir James.
Mr. Holmes, you place me in a most serious dilemma. I'm perfectly certain that you would be proud to act if I could give you the name.
Then do so.
Out of the question. May I at least tell you as much as I can, give you the facts of the case?
I commit myself to nothing.
That is understood.
Then pray continue.
Thank you. I must begin by telling you that Gruner is presently living just outside London.
I was aware of it.
Mr. Holmes, I
Sir
am...
James, it is our business to follow the details of continental criminals.
Of course, forgive me. You've no doubt heard of General de Merville.
Of Khyber Pass fame.
Of course.
Of course. Well, he has a daughter, a Violet de Merville. A lovely girl, young, beautiful, and rich.
Gruner has some hold over her.
The strongest of all holds.
She's in love with him.
And she proposes to marry him next month. It's this mockery of a marriage that my client wishes you to prevent.
You must know, my dearest, that a man in my position inevitably attracts a certain amount of envious gossip. I shall tell you of what has been said. I have led a somewhat stormy life. I shall lay my past before you. I have, in my youth, become entangled with designing women. I shall tell you their tales, and the tales of my repentance. And you shall listen, and you shall learn, and you shall forgive me, and love me the more.
I shall listen, and I shall learn,
And you shall forgive me.
you, and love you the more.
Splendid. Let us begin.
Gentlemen, to say that she loves him hardly expresses it. She is obsessed by him. Everything has been done to cure her of her madness, but in vain.
Is the girl of age?
She is, Doctor, and she has a will of iron.
Does she know about the Austrian episode?
Cunning devils told her every detail of his past life.
And she still loves him?
Evidently our Baron's even more of a fictionalizer than you are.
Exactly, Mr. Holmes. He's made himself out to be an innocent martyr. She won't listen to any other version.
Can't we prove that he's lying?
There's nothing definite known against him. He's always been far too clever for that.
Scotland Yard can do nothing. Mr. Holmes, on my client's behalf, I beg you to accept this case. It means an enormous amount to him.
Your client is no doubt General de Merville.
The General? Oh, no, sir. This wretched business has left him a broken man. He's utterly demoralized.
One of our greatest soldiers, Holmes. There must be something we can do.
Mr. Holmes, I can tell you this much. The man I represent is an old friend of the General. He's taken a paternal interest in this young girl since she was a child. He cannot stand back and see this tragedy happen. It was his own suggestion that you should be called in.
Your problem interests me.
You'll take the case?
I'll look into it.
Thank you, sir. Here are some details which may help you. Doctor?
Thank you.
I'll contact you as soon as I have some news.
Mr. Holmes.
Sir James?
I've no doubt that you could easily trace my client back through me. I must ask you as a point of honor not to do so.
I think I may safely promise that.
Splendid, isn't it? A vase made for the Emperor Zhu Yuanzhang himself, the founder of the great Ming dynasty.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful and fragile and beyond price.
And you love it so much.